friends. I'm Jen Mallan, and I welcome you most heartily to our fabulous get-together. And like most good friends do, it starts in the kitchen with a nice cup of coffee, cafe con leche, or whatever makes you happy. By now, everyone knows how much I enjoy a cup of fresh brewed coffee. And I've heard from so many of you that you do too. So as I welcome you into our show, I expect that you're serving up your favorite beverage too. By the way, my guest today, she's a coffee lover too. I love telling you stories about coffee because you might not know these things. Twice in recorded history, people have attempted to ban coffee. Can you believe that? Like make it illegal. Can you imagine? So who was behind this prohibition? Religious people. That's right. In 1511, the leaders of the Muslim church in Mecca outlawed the brewing and consumption of coffee because that they felt it promoted radical thinking. I don't know. We do a lot of radical thinking and praying around here, and we drink coffee. So they might not have been wrong about this. Anyhow, prohibition didn't take hold. However, at the same time, some Italian clergymen started blaming coffee for being satanic. Excuse me? I mean, I've had some lousy coffee in my time, but I never thought it was satanic. It took the Pope to put a stop to this nonsense. It seems like the Holy Father enjoyed coffee a lot. So that shut down any further objections to our favorite beverage. So coffee haters, take notice. Don't nobody get any ideas about taking our coffee away, okay? So welcome to the best part of my day. The name of this show is Come Home with Jen Mallan. It wasn't chosen by accident or because it sounded cute or catchy. It's what I really want to do every day. I want to welcome you into my home, have fellowship with you, and then introduce you to some incredible people. And they always bring an anointed word from the Lord, insight, an incredible God story. Today's no different. Just wait until you hear from this lady who's with us in our living room. Here's a sneak peek. Her name is Darlene Greenlee. And I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard of her already. But for the few who maybe haven't, she is a pillar of Christian broadcasting for over 40 years, not just in her home base of Tampa, Florida, but throughout the United States and the world. Darlene is a fixture on Christian radio and television, and she has served faithfully at CTN, this network. She produced and she hosts shows like Bay Focus, the telethons, The Good Life. Many of you remember that. So I'm not going to share everything about Darlene just now because her story is better if she tells it. But let me just say that you've picked a good day to tune in. And if you're interested in Christian broadcasting and other media, you really want to hear from someone who has seen it all and who has made a lot of wonderful things happen. So stick around for our journey with Darlene for the next half an hour. Now, before we go to the living room, I want to introduce you to my friend who comes on monthly. Her name is Christine Vallis, and she's going to be sharing about the incredible Hebrew month that we're starting today, Tammuz. Don't go away.
Welcome to this segment of Life Hacks on Come Home with Jen Mallan. My name is Christine Vallis, and I'm blessed to share a few highlights of the chalkboard teaching for the biblical month that we are in right now. It is the month of Tammuz. Tammuz is the fourth month on God's spiritual calendar, and 4 is a picture of a door. And the door before us not only opens up into a new month, but into a whole new season, the season of summer. And this season is also known as the holiday of the eyes. There's so much to look at, and people are out and about, and everything is in full swing. So the Lord is encouraging us to watch what we watch, just as Proverbs 4:23 tells us to guard our heart with all diligence, because out of it flows all the issues of life. He's reminding us to guard our hearts, and we can do so by guarding our eyes. You know, it was here in this very month of biblical history where 2 very familiar events took place, where the children of Israel lost their focus. Exodus 32 tells us it was right here in Tammuz when Moses came down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments and the plans for the tabernacle, but only to find the children of Israel worshiping a useless golden calf. Later, in Numbers 13, we see it was also in this month when Moses sent out the 12 spies to survey the promised land. And they all agreed it was an exceedingly good land. But 10 of the spies focused on the giants and caused doubt, while only Joshua and Caleb saw the land with the eyes of their heart. And both of these events were always meant to be blessings and glorious new beginnings for the Israelites. But the children of Israel grew impatient and fearful, and they got their eyes off the Lord and onto their circumstances and the clock, and ultimately resulted in lasting repercussions. But we don't have to fall into the same trap as they did. The Lord loves us so much. And in 1 Corinthians, he tells us that these events of the Old Testament were meant to be examples so we can learn from them. And John 10:10 also lets us know that our enemy is a thief. And one of the ways he tries to steal from us is to steal our attention. So, we become what we behold. So let's keep our focus and not let the enemy steal it. And let's use our God-given eyes and focus on the good and on God himself. Now, speaking of vision, the Lord wants us to discover his vision for the provision he gives us. God gave the Israelites great plunder of gold when he redeemed them out of slavery. And this gold was meant to be used for the tabernacle, but instead they used it to build a worthless idol. So let's take time to ask the Lord where he wants us to invest the provision that he has given us, because we are blessed to be a blessing, and he knows the plans he has for us, and he delights in revealing them to us. Now, there's a time period that begins in this month known as Between the Straits, and it begins on the day that Moses came down with the 10 Commandments, and that's the 19th of Tammuz, and it ends on the day that the spies returned from surveying the Promised Land, and that is the 9th of Av. And this year in 2023, those dates correspond to June 7th through July 27th. Now, this time is a period where the Lord historically funnels his people from one expanse through a narrower place into a greater expanse that was much better than before. And these straits are actually straits of protection, just as the Hebrew letter of the month, Het, here on the chalkboard underscores. It has a value of 8. It depicts a fence which guards us into a new beginning. So let's slow our pace through the straits, keep our eyes on Jesus, and allow him to navigate us into the land of promises he has for us. So lastly, if you're wondering where God's eyes are in all of this, 2 Chronicles 16:9 tells us, the eyes of the Lord move to and fro throughout the earth so that he may strongly support those whose heart are completely his. So his eyes are on us for good. The month of Tammuz here in 2023 begins on Friday night, June 19th, and ends Saturday, July 18th. I hope you enjoyed this quick snippet of the month of Tammuz. If you'd like to check out the full chalkboard teaching, go to my website, christinevallis.com, or my YouTube channel, and uncover the Lord's prophetic calendar in real time in your life.
So enjoy the month of Tammuz. There's so many beautiful ways that you can incorporate the prophetic meaning and insight, and it's for you now. Listen, God has a calendar, and he hasn't changed his calendar. And so align and enjoy. Really, it is life-changing. Well, as I said in the open, we have an incredible woman of God here today. She's no stranger to the CTN audience. She has been a pillar and a source of life and a staple and just a joyful contributor to everything that has gone on in Christian media for many, many years at CTN as well as other stations. And so it's such a joy today to have Darlene Greenlee.
Thank you,
Yay.
Jennifer. Wonderful to be on your show today. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I was on my husband
Yes,
and I have
you
been on your
were.
show, but years ago.
Yes.
And so you are the producer and host of Bay Focus.
Yes, yeah. And you mentioned all the years, and I love having pillar status.
Yes, hey.
No, I've been around for a long time, but we were talking before the show. I started 47 years ago
Wow.
in broadcasting. So I have, but I was here in the early years of CTN, and then came back, went away in ministry with my husband, then came back to the staff. But yeah, one of the things that I do here, and I have to say, one of the things, I'm getting used to it being the main thing now. For years here at CTN, producer, program host is my title, and that is Bay Focus, which we'll talk about today. Also, The Good Life for a number of years for our late founder, Bob DeAndre, and also our telethons for many years, which I worked with you on over the years as well. You were involved in that, so we go back, a number of years. So I had a multi-pronged, thing, but as of the year 2023, I am doing predominantly Bay Focus and then special projects like our recent Vision Week.
I was going to say, not
Produced
just
that.
one thing, because you
our
ran
Vision,
the Vision Week.
our viewers saw you on Vision Week. So, yeah.
What they didn't see is you and
They did
everything
not.
you did behind the scenes
not,
to make it
yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
Vision Week.
I enjoy that. I enjoy doing the behind
Yeah.
the scenes and doing the on-air interviews and all that too.
Well,
so.
you were built watching you run around during Vision Week with joy and energy and multitasking and this and here and there and there. I'm like, I love seeing that side of you.
What was funny about that is we hadn't done telethons in a few years. So when we did Vision Week, I go, am I going to remember how to do this? I was just going, I haven't done this in a while. And it came back. So it was just like, riding a bike, how they say. It was fun. It was fun to do. Yeah. And you did a phenomenal job helping us host.
Well, that was fun too. You know, I didn't know what to expect, but I think that's important. You just show up where God tells you to show up and do what he tells you to do. And sometimes you feel very inadequate. And yet that's what the anointing does.
Well, you had like 30 seconds notice at times. Get out there and talk.
Well,
it was like, go. We need you to go now. We're live. And you were on it. You did a great job.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. That's where the word comes in. I'll open my mouth and you fill it.
Being ready at any time.
In season and out of season. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do, before we, chit chat more, I do want to show this highlight reel from Bay Focus. Just, your love for the community. You highlight ministries that are doing things outside of the four walls.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Okay, let's, we can take a look at it and then I can tell you a little bit about it. They'll give our viewers an idea.
Let's do it.
Okay. Welcome to Bay Focus. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have so many things to tell you about. There's some exciting things coming up.
So we're looking forward to what God's doing in CTN.
Yeah.
Some great things are coming.
The power of God is so much stronger. The power of Jesus is so much stronger. He actually passed these things out once.
I just trust in the Lord to use me, and I always kind of just stand with open hands, and I'm like, please, Lord, just use my life to serve people and to serve you.
So that quick recap cannot do justice to the 23 years and happy 23rd year
of doing this show
of Bay Focus. That is awesome.
23 years.
2023, and it's your 23rd anniversary.
They hired me back in the year 2000, to develop our telethons again and to develop a community-based show here for the Central Florida, Tampa Bay area. I do want to say that this show is for our Central Florida community. And for those of you that are watching at other parts around the country, we also post the show if you're interested in what's going on in Tampa Bay area, and it is a well-known area in our nation. In the state of Florida, we cover some Florida issues too, and others. We have international ministries and things that come through too. We also post a show on social media, Roku, CTN app. It's live streamed on our website, so people can catch it. And I actually do, amazingly, I hear from people all over the country that catch this show.
That's wonderful.
So it is great.
Yeah. Well, it's there was a show, a very popular show among young people years ago called Baywatch. So
Yeah.
maybe you're grabbing some of the Bay Focus. You're getting some of those viewers.
Yeah, you're striking a funny memory for
Yes.
me
What's
because
that?
I have had people walk up and say, "Oh, I just love watching Baywatch. It is so good. Thank you so much." I'm going, "Well, I don't plan on being on that show,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
thank
come on!
you."
I'm gonna get you a red bathing
I'm
suit
thinking not.
and a lifeguard, so you can run
Nobody
down.
wants to see me on that show, Jen.
me either. That ship has sailed. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
no, we're not going to do that.
Yes, His grace is sufficient in
That's right.
every
That's right,
season of
yeah.
our life.
Yeah.
We have to laugh,
Yeah.
right? It's important.
Yeah, you have to laugh at the various names of the show. That's for sure.
Okay, so before we go further, let's cheers because we are coffee.
We are coffee pals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love watching your posts. On Saturday, almost every Saturday, you have a post on a local coffee shop that you have visited. You and your husband.
My husband, Rick, and I, this is our absolute joy in life. We love coffee shops, out of the way little shops, little places that maybe are not your chain, although we do frequent the chains as well. But, here in our area, but when we travel too, we seek them out.
Yeah.
But it's a Saturday afternoon routine, as you know, from being on Facebook with me. It's a Saturday afternoon thing. We go in the mid-afternoon, we go hunt, we find a spot, we go back to some of our favorites. And we do have one favorite. I don't know if you want me to verbalize it.
You can.
I can.
Yes.
I can give it out. We do have one that just to us is if we're going to go anywhere, if we choose that we're going to do something that is a comfort zone, it's going to be Vescalini Cafe in Dunedin, Florida, which is such a quaint little coastal town.
Yeah.
But Vescalini Cafe is a European cafe. They do food too, but their coffee and their lattes are unmatched.
Okay.
Absolutely unmatched. So we'll put in plug for them. But I have a bunch of other ones too. So, it's great, but it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to do. We love doing it.
Well, I think it's fabulous because my palate really kind of leans toward two coffees. One is Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
it's
good standard.
I love it. It's not too
Mild,
strong.
Smooth. Yep.
Yep. I got introduced to it when I was in college and I went to Connecticut and we would take the train into New York City and that was my first Dunkin' Donuts and they put the cream and the sugar in way too more than you would have put in.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fabulous. And,
it is. It's their cream.
Yes.
You got to have their cream.
And I would pray, God, please send a Dunkin' Donuts to Tampa. And I remember when the first one opened, how excited I was. So my taste buds love my Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Black, half decaf, half regular, with extra blueberry. It's like drinking a blueberry muffin.
New to me.
Okay, you'll have to try it.
Oh,
Or
wow.
I'll get you one.
That.
I'll get you one.
Yeah.
Okay, and my second is I love the Cinnabon Keurig, to make a Keurig.
Yes.
And I know that's kind of cheating coffee. It's kind of like our grandparents.
Well, it's your happy spot. That to me is a Friday coffee.
Yes.
That's like, it's Friday, I'm going to have that.
You do your coffees by days of the week,
right? Yeah, some I need more fully leaded, but Friday you want a happy coffee because it's Friday. So you want some flavor, you want something to it. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Well, one place that you went recently.
Yeah, I think you had been to.
Yes, Sweet
Brunette.
And
BREWNETTE.
Yeah.
What a cool place.
Yeah. It's
on Madeira Beach.
Yes. Marcel, who is the fashionista and the set designer, she has a little condo right beside Sweet Brunette.
Oh, that's dangerously close.
Yes, it is. But
it's a great cafe too. They have food and their coffee's fabulous.
Yes, I was so excited when I saw you there.
Yeah, fun place.
Since we're both brunette,
Yes. I get a little help, but yes.
So, how long have you and Rick done the routine, the coffee tradition?
We've done it for a number of years now. We do that, and it's just something we enjoy. But it's also, one of the things that I've been around out and about in the community for the show. You see certain places, you see things, and and it kind of has, piqued my interest a different place. But I don't know if this is a good time. Can I actually talk about the show or not?
Yeah, let's talk about Bay Focus.
Yeah, I kind of want to give our viewers a little bit because this kind of transitions because now and then I have featured Christian businesses. Yeah. That people that have coffee shops that are faith-based or have a restaurant or something that they use it as a means for to share their faith. But yeah, what we do with the show is we really the purpose of it and is to highlight our local ministries, outreach events, and community organizations that may not be faith-based, but they want to include people of faith.
Yeah.
They want to include the Christian community. I do a lot with foster care, for example.
I love it.
They are really trying to get Christian families involved in
Yes.
becoming foster parents. One thing I want to plug for CTN, many of our viewers, and you're watching, they're watching from all over the country, are in different communities, different locations. Our stations, a vast majority of our stations, do some type of local programming.
Yeah.
To where they're reaching out in the community, and CTN has a presence. CTN has never lost that. They've always felt it's important for their stations to have an impact on their community and to do
Absolutely.
programming. And I say that because not all networks and not all Christian networks have done that. Sometimes the stations are just carrying network programming or
Right.
doing things. They don't
Right.
always have a staffed, where they're able to do things. But CTN has really found that to be important, that the stations, particularly in some of our larger markets, where
Yeah.
to have a presence. So that's what Bay Focus does. But what it is also is an opportunity for ministries to get the word out that they need help. I do that every single show. Every single show. Many of these are nonprofits.
Right.
Many of them are volunteer staffed.
Yeah.
They're trying to get out there and really make a difference. So we want to give them the opportunity if they need help. We've also put a spotlight on the newsmakers that come to the area, the Christian people
Yeah.
that have a wider influence. I've been out covering. I have some, great stories to tell from people we've interviewed. Some of my favorites. And,
Yeah, I was going to say, who are some of your favorites?
oh, I can tell you one of mine was Michael W. Smith. I had a lifelong desire to interview him.
Yeah.
And as a worship leader, and I have a music side to me too. I've done music and media my whole life, and I've done secular and Christian broadcasting. And as a worship leader, to sit down with Mr. Worship himself,
Yes.
all his worship albums,
Yes.
was such a treat. But then people that just took the time. I think of one story, and I'm following you, Jen, because this is interesting. I keep looking at the camera, which is
producer-
really weird because I tell my guests to not do that, and here I am doing it.
You're fine.
But I'm so used to being the interviewer, but I'm not seeing time cues, so I don't know how we're doing. But I do want to, one really neat moment. We were out covering, this is probably a ministry you're familiar with, is Family First.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out covering, they did a thing for so many years out at Bucks camp when they were
Yeah.
just starting.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks were practicing. And Tony Dungy was the coach at the time.
Yeah.
And we were out there faithfully. I was out there with my, Bay Focus cameras. And we went out there, and everybody was after Tony Dungy. Everybody was trying to get something from him. And I was about ready to give up because we couldn't, he was just out there milling.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him. I yelled out, Christian Television Network, Tony, can we have a few minutes with you? CTN. He stopped, turned,
Wow.
walked back, and literally pushed everybody else
Oh,
aside
that's wonderful.
and gave us an interview. And I look at those kind of things as highlights to where he took a moment to understand how important it is that we were out there
Yeah.
along with the secular news outlets. So I have
And
a
he
lot
gave
of
you
different
the
things.
interview.
Gave me the interview, and then he was
Good for
done.
him. Good
He
for
had to
him.
go.
Good
So
for
I
him.
was kind of going.
He chose the
He
highest
chose-
calling,
he
the
did,
best
he did.
interviewer.
But that was just like a highlight for me. There's been others in my news days. I used to do news. There's all kinds of political figures, all kinds of people over the years. God's given me great opportunities. So I've just been blessed. But I love what I do. I love highlighting the day in and day out ministries that I'm blown away by them all the time, how they're out there
Making it happen.
24/7, doing things, human trafficking, fighting human trafficking, feeding the homeless,
Yeah.
those are the kinds of things we do. Yeah.
Well, you've done a tremendous job, and you've encouraged so many people,
you.
because people do get exhausted in the trenches. They get
Yeah.
exhausted in the
Yeah.
battle. And then when you come in and say, hey, let me give you some help, let me recruit, let me
Yes.
shine some light on what you're doing, and
Yes.
let me, if anything, that you're getting people praying for them and just being conscious that they're there.
Yeah.
So we could talk about your stories forever. I love how at 19 you just had this vision and this clear focus, and then you went and got educated
Yeah, I actually
in it.
auditioned to be a local weather anchor and got it at an ABC affiliate.
Wow.
So it started off there in news. I went news before I started in Christian radio and Christian broadcasting. God, same with you. God opened doors miraculously that shouldn't have opened at such a young age.
Yeah, he did it.
He did it. Yeah.
Well, I want you, because we're closing out,
Mhm.
and I know it feels like we just started, but I of course want people to watch your show, pray for your show, partner with your show, and I want to honor your life and everything that you've given. But I also want you to have an opportunity to minister and encourage, pray for whatever you want to do, whatever's on your
Mhm.
heart by the Holy Spirit.
Okay. All right. And I just want to take a moment. First of all, I want to those of you that may be watching the show and have seen Bay Focus over the years, thank you so much for supporting it and to keep us in the loop, to keep us aware of what's going on here throughout Central Florida. One of the cool things about having done this show is all the connections that happen when the ministries come. I usually do 2 ministries a show, and they come and they connect and they do events and they do things. So I'm so honored to have been a part of that. But none of this would be important to do. None of it if it weren't for the fact of the reason we do it. And the reason we do it is to share the love of Christ, to be Christ in action. So I just want to encourage you today to go do something, volunteer your time. Get out. There's so many ministries out there that need help, that need somebody to come alongside them and to do that. But if you are not in a position to do that, and you're going, I don't know anything, I don't even know anything about Jesus. I don't. This is all new to me. I want to encourage you to accept the Lord as your personal Savior today. All you have to do is say, Jesus, I come to you. Forgive me of my sins. I know I haven't been perfect, but I know you died on the cross for me. I want you in my life. I want you in my heart. I give it to you in the precious name of Jesus. And that is it. You are a child of God, and you can connect with I want to encourage you to connect with a local church or connect with anybody that here at CTN. You can call us. We will pray with you. Jen Mallan as well. She would just love to talk with you. Thank you so much for having me on the show today,
Darlene,
Jen.
thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank you. Congratulations for 23 years. I encourage all of you, if you don't watch Bay Focus, start watching it. On their 23rd anniversary, send in a love seed and say congratulations, and here's a gift toward the ministry. That's so meaningful because what we do requires supporters and viewers like you. Pray for Darlene as she continues to produce and go into the highways and byways. Thank you for watching Come Home today. If you pray that prayer of salvation, we want to know about it. I'm Jen Mallan, and I encourage you, come home.